Around the year 1706, in a village called Kadam in Bohemia, which is now part of the Czech Republic, a shepherd called Myslata from the nearby town of Blow died. Shockingly, a few days after he was buried, Myslata was seen wandering the streets and farms at night. Allegedly, when he walked past a person he recognized, he would call them by their name. Within a week, that person would be dead. Light a candle, dim the lights. Let's open the case. This happened continuously for several weeks. Various people who had seen Myslata and heard their name called would die, and after a few weeks, with the body count starting to increase, something had to be done. The situation in Blow was desperate. The townsfolk were too afraid to leave the safety of their homes. They lived in fear of the drifting Myslata. If they dared to step outside, would they be claimed as his next victim? Officials in the town collectively decided that the best course of action would be to exhume Myslata's body, as the public was convinced that he had somehow returned from the dead and had begun to kill. This single decision led to Myslata being nicknamed the Vampire of Blow. The vampire's body was dug up and a huge stake was plunged into its decaying heart. The town thought that the vampire's reign of terror had come to an end, but they were wrong. The next night the vampire was sighted, but something was different. The vampire appeared in a terrifying form. It is said that the vampire would suffocate its victims to death. It was even documented that some of the townsfolk attacked the vampire with a large wooden stick. After wrenching the stick from their shaking hands, the vampire laughed at the men, thanking them for giving him a weapon to beat back the dogs. Villagers demanded further action to be taken to stop the vampire, so again the body was exhumed in the daytime. However, this time it was taken to an executioner. Allegedly, the corpse writhed around in the cart on its way to the executioner, again confirming to the villagers that Myslata was indeed the Blow vampire. Once the executioner received the decomposing body, he drove several white thorn stakes into the creature. Fresh crimson blood gushed from the body, as if Myslata was still alive. After driving the stakes into the vampire, the executioner threw its body into a huge fire. Whilst the flames engulfed the vampire, it writhed around, screaming in agony, until the flames fully consumed the body and the vampire of Blow was reduced to ash. Sadly, although the vampire was no more, all of the people that the creature saw on its last night of terror still died within 8 days. Interestingly, part of this case was recorded by an abbot named Neplak in a chronicle that dates back to 1336. It reads as follows.
Bohemia, about 1 mile from Kadanis, in a village called Blow. A certain shepherd called Myslata died. Every single night he rose and went about every farm in the area and spoke to frighten and kill people. When he had been impaled with a stake, he said, "They hurt me much, as they gave me a staff to defend me from the dogs." And when he was exhumed for cremation, he swelled up like an ox and roared terribly. When he was placed in the fire, someone grabbed a stick and put it into him, and immediately blood poured out of him as if from a vessel. Furthermore, when he had been dug up and he was put on a cart, he drew his feet to himself as if alive. And before he was cremated, anyone whom he called by name at night died within 8 days.
Interestingly, we could find no mention of the vampire drinking blood. So why is it that Myslata was deemed to be a vampire? We believe it is because, after somehow returning from the dead, the only way to ensure that the vampire stayed dead was to adopt the traditional ways of killing a vampire. So what do you think of the case? Would you classify Myslata as a vampire? Let us know your thoughts below. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe so you don't miss our next case.